They burned my police motorcycle because I refused to pay the HOA, but I knew exactly who did it. And I came back not as a neighbor, but as an officer, with a warrant and evidence in hand. But what happened next froze the entire neighborhood. Let's start from the very beginning. My name is Jake McGraw. I'm a senior traffic officer, 20 years in uniform, 13 of them on patrol, the rest in investigations. After stepping away from constant night shifts, I decided it was time to slow down. I bought a house in Lakewood Hills, up in Northern Virginia County. Quiet neighborhood, clean streets, matching lawns, and neighbors who say hello but don't ask questions. Seemed just right. The house is a single-story brick place with a garage and a patch of lawn I wasn't exactly thrilled to mow. No pools, no columns, no white porch swings like in the movies. Just my corner. After everything I've been through, I didn't need more. Just peace and quiet. A strong cup of coffee in the morning, and my Harley-Davidson Police Electra Glide. A gift to myself for 20 years of service. I didn't just buy it. I built it, piece by piece. It's not just a motorcycle. It's a witness to my life. Polished chrome, matte black tank, that deep rumble at idle. It stood in my driveway like a monument to everything I've survived, and it had every right to stand there. The first month went smooth. Birds chirping, no one bothering me. I even started to relax. Until one morning, I found a white envelope in my mailbox, stamped with the HOA logo, the Homeowners Association. Looked harmless. Inside was a bureaucratic surprise. "Welcome to our friendly community, Mr. McGraw. To join the association, please submit a monthly fee of $300, attend mandatory meetings, and adhere to the terms of our charter. See attached PDF, 78 pages, for details. Non-compliance may result in sanctions." I read that letter 3 times. I never signed anything with this so-called association. The realtor said it was a soft HOA, membership optional. Nothing in the contract about mandatory fees. But what really set me off wasn't the nonsense about dues. It was Section 5.2, which stated, "Motorized vehicles may not be stored in exterior portions of the property, except for approved automobile models." In plain English, they didn't like my bike, called it unsightly. I couldn't believe it. I called the number listed at the bottom. Polite, for now, I explained I wasn't an HOA member, wasn't bound by their charter, and, by the way, I was a police officer, and the motorcycle was my legal, personal vehicle. Silence on the other end. Then a calm woman's voice. "Mr. McGraw, we have standards. This is private residential property, and we maintain the community's appearance." I lost my patience and said, "This is a free country, ma'am. I'm not about to hide my history behind a door just because you're allergic to chrome." I hung up, tried to forget it, but the next morning there was a citation in my mailbox, $75. Violation. Unauthorized vehicle on HOA property. That's when I realized this wasn't going to end with a couple of letters. This was just the beginning. I ignored the fine. First one, then another. I'm not the kind of man who caves to threats printed on paper. I know exactly where the HOA's authority ends and where U.S. law begins. I didn't read the Constitution online. I worked with it every day. But the HOA seemed to think they made the rules. First came the letters, then the threats. Subtle at first. "We're concerned. Your behavior is disruptive to the community." Then more direct. "We will take the necessary steps to correct noncompliance." And then came what I call the white glove dirty play. They started flooding City Hall, the transportation department, even my own precinct with complaints. Digging, trying to find something. But they found nothing. Because unlike them, I follow the law. And that infuriated them. The real betrayal came on a Thursday. I was heading out early for my shift, and I saw it. Someone had dumped a can of white paint over my Harley, right on the seat, the tank, the headlights. Covered like they'd measured every drop to ruin not just the look, but the soul. I froze, stood there for a full minute, Then, without a word, I pulled out my phone and called a patrol unit. The guys showed up fast. One of them, Lucas, my old partner, just shook his head. "Jake, this is crossing the line. Did you check your cameras?" I nodded. We went into the garage. I pulled up the archive, played the footage. It was dark. Timestamp, 4:23 a.m. A person in a black jacket, hood pulled low. But there was one detail they didn't account for. A baseball cap. On it, the HOA emblem, a golden branch and 3 letters. I paused the video, zoomed in. My heart beat slow, steady, because I knew that face. Under the hood, Ralph Henderson, the treasurer, the one who signed the letters, the one who warned me about aesthetic balance. I didn't say a word, just copied the file to a flash drive. A couple hours later, another letter arrived. No more pretense. "Your actions are disturbing the aesthetic equilibrium of the residential sector. If the situation does not change promptly, the association reserves the right to take action." They weren't playing democracy anymore. This was a threat, and I knew it was going to get worse. I could have filed charges then, had Ralph arrested, but that day duty called. There was a crash with injuries, other lives on the line. I couldn't afford to sit by the window with a shotgun like some paranoid old man. I left it alone, hoped they'd come to their senses, but some people only get it when it's too late. 3 days later, exactly at 3:00 a.m., I woke to a sharp crack and the smell of smoke. I ran out barefoot in just a t-shirt and saw my motorcycle in flames. Fire danced like candles from hell right outside my home. The fire crew arrived fast, but it was too late. Only charred wreckage remained. Blackened steel, melted rubber. One of the firefighters, a young kid, said quietly, "This was arson. 90% sure. Accelerant was used. It went up in minutes." I nodded, sat down on the steps, didn't say a word, just sat. Do you know that feeling? When you've lived 20 years by the book, served, stared criminals in the eye so the world could sleep peacefully, and then someone spits on your soul, and you can't strike back, not right away, because you wear a badge, because you have honor. But inside, there's only silence. For now. I didn't file a report like a regular citizen, not to sit around for weeks waiting while some desk sergeant decided whether it was worth investigating. I didn't have time for bureaucracy. I had a plan. The next day, I paid Ralph Henderson a visit, but not as Jake, the guy with the motorcycle in the driveway, as a state police officer, senior investigator for Civil Association affairs. Uniform, badge, service weapon, official vehicle, black Dodge Charger with department markings. I parked directly across from his house. He stepped out onto the porch, in boxers and a tank top, coffee mug in hand, smiling. Thought I was just a neighbor who'd finally come around. But the moment I pulled the search warrant from my folder, that smile disappeared like paint stripped off a bumper. And when I showed him the security footage, him in his signature HOA cap, dousing my Harley in paint, he didn't even try to deny it. It was a mistake," he stammered, already pale. "This is the law, Ralph," I replied, "and you just broke it." I didn't make a scene. I just called in the response team. That very same day, we launched an investigation. Not just for vandalism, but for all the prior complaints that had been dismissed. You know what's ironic? I oversaw the very department that handles HOA misconduct. I was the one they called in when associations crossed the line, forged votes, misused funds, abused authority. Only this time, the target of the investigation was their own HOA, and the man they tried to bully over a motorcycle, he wasn't just another troublesome neighbor. He was their worst nightmare in uniform. We cracked open the accounting books, and that's when it all unraveled. fake invoices, duplicate reports, transfers to personal bank accounts, donations for landscaping upgrades that somehow paid for Ralph's lake house furniture, laundered money from bogus citations, all of it, hard evidence. And I gathered it not as a wronged resident, but as an officer who knew exactly how the system works and how to make it speak. 1 week later, official raids. 2 weeks, the arrest of Ralph Henderson and 2 other board members. Charges: fraud, intimidation, abuse of authority, and participation in the arson of private property. Neighbors later said there were 5 patrol cars lined up on the street that day, that Henderson cried when they cuffed him. I didn't see it. I didn't need to. I was at the station, writing my report. For me, this wasn't revenge. It was justice. And you know what? Justice really is sweet. Especially when it's served cold. No shouting, no emotion. Just the law, the facts, and the uniform that walks in not asking, but with a warrant in hand. My old Harley was burned to ashes. All that was left were a few metal scraps, some melted bolts, and the very seat I once hand-stitched myself. I tried to save it, but the fire gave no mercy. Metal can be replaced. Memories can't. But you know, there is justice in this world. Not always fast, but real. The insurance paid every last cent. No questions asked. They had it all. The fire report, the surveillance footage, the findings from the investigation. With that money, I bought myself a new beast. Another Harley-Davidson Electra Glide. Newer model. Bigger engine, advanced GPS, armored saddlebag, and an alarm so loud, birds come down to see who dared get within 2 meters. Now, when I fire it up in the morning, the roar shakes the pines across the street. But this time, no one complains. After everything, I was appointed the official police department representative for HOA affairs in Fairfield County. Funny, isn't it? The man who was targeted for refusing to join an HOA now oversees legal compliance by the HOAs. As for Lakewood Hills, that HOA, as it once existed, is no more. Dissolved by court order. In its place now stands a new resident committee, transparent elections, monthly reports in the community chat. Every vote counts. No hidden rules, no fines for having a bike on your porch. Ironically, I never joined. Don't need to anymore. But you know what's changed? Now, when I walk down the street, people smile, not out of politeness, but genuinely. No one asks why there's a motorcycle in my driveway, no anonymous letters, no paint in the night. They know who I am, and more importantly, they know I don't back down. My Harley stands right by the entrance, glinting in the morning sun, black as night, heavy as my memories. It's not just a bike, it's a reminder that in this world, you don't bow to rules written by cowards to scare honest people. And if you hold your ground, stay true to yourself. Justice will find its way to you sooner or later.